Hello, in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to make a basic code system. Now if you've never done anything like this, you're completely new to scripting, I highly recommend looking at the video in the description. It just goes over a bunch of basics. But let's immediately get started. Now first of all, I don't care about UI, you came for the scripting tutorial. I'm going to give you the scripting tutorial. So on the right in the Explorer, in Storage UI, let's add a screen GUI, a frame, and I'm just going to make it a little big, something like this. I don't really care. A text box. This is where people enter the code, and then a where is it? Text button. This is how you'll submit the code. And I'll just change this color so I could actually see it. Now the frame, I'm just gonna make its visibility false, and then I'm gonna add a second text button. This is gonna be for toggling the frame. Now in the screen GUI, I can go ahead and add my local script, and here let's go ahead and just get some variables. So like the local toggle is equal to script.parent.the text button, and this is the button that will toggle it, like the visibility on and off. So you can just name this to whatever you want, or just change the location to whatever you want. But let's also get the frame. So local frame is equal to script.parent.frame, and here we're going to say toggle.mouse button one click, and we'll connect this to an anonymous function. Frame.visible is equal to not frame.visible. Now basically, whenever you have a text button, this also includes image buttons. They have special functions that Roblox is just a built-in thing. But whenever you say mouse button one click, basically whenever the player clicks on it with the left click, this function will fire and the frame's visibility will just toggle. If it's true, make it false. If it's false, make it true. Pretty simple. If you wanted to make this right click for some reason, I think it's two click. This also supports mobile, so if you just tap it, this will also fire, so you don't have to worry about that. Now let's go ahead and make it so whenever you click on the enter button, it sends off, well, the code that the player put. So here we can say the frame dot the text button, or just your enter button dot mouse button one click. We'll connect this to a function, and here we want to communicate it to the server. So how do we do that? Now first of all, we need a service that both the client and the server can access, which is the main one. The good one is replicated storage. So in here we will add a remote event, and this is how the server and client communicate. So let's just rename this to enter code. And back in our script, let's first get replicated storage. So local replicated storage is equal to game get service, get service replicated storage, and then our code. So local enter code is equal to replicated storage dot enter code. So here, whenever we click on the enter button, we want to fire that off to the server. So enter code fire server, pretty simple. And then as our first argument, we want the text. So frame dot textbox dot text. There we go. And this is the entire client. It's that simple. A single line of code for whenever either of the buttons are clicked. Now let's go ahead and work on the server. So in server script service on the right in the Explorer, let's add a script. And here, first of all, we want to get our remote. So let me just copy this code from the client to actually get it. There we go. And here we just have to say enter code dot on server event. So whenever we receive the data, now the first argument, it should be the code that the player sent, but how do we even get the player, right? Now you don't have to fire that from the client, because exploiters, since they have full access to the client, they're able to fire stuff off to the server as a different player, if that makes sense. So Roblox has a built-in feature that whenever you receive data from the client, the first argument will always be the player that sends it off. So we can say player and then the entered code, right? Now here, we're able to do all of our logic, but first we actually need our codes, right? So let's go ahead and make a new table, and we'll call it codes is equal to a table. Now here, for the code, if you care about it being case sensitive, then write your code with the case sensitive. But if you do not care, then just write all of it in lowercase. It's very important that you do that. So I'll just make a code like release, for example. And once you write your code name, we want to set it to a function. So it's equal to a function, and we will receive the player as the first argument. But in here, this is where we can reward the player, right? And we can just reward the player with coins, for example, but we actually need to set up leader stats. If you played any games, and in the top right, whenever you open the player tab, you see cash, coins, all of that. It's actually very, very simple to make. First, we need the player service. So local players is equal to game get service players. And here let's say players.player added, so whenever a player joins the game, we'll connect it to a function with the player as the first argument. Now, to set up leader stats, we need to first create a folder and put it inside of the player. So local leader stats, which is the folder, is equal to instance.new. As the first argument, we are creating a folder. Now, the second argument is the parent of the new instance. So here we just want to put player because we want to parent the folder to the player, if that makes sense. And this part's very important. You always want to make sure that the name is equal to, in all lowercase, leader stats. This is how Roblox checks for that and just automatically creates it. If you capitalize it, it just won't work. Now we can create whatever we want, such as coins. So local coins is equal to instance.new, and we will create a number value and parent it to the leader stats. And then here we can just say coins.name is equal to coins. Now, Roblox doesn't automatically have data saving, so if you want me to create that as a different video, you can just go ahead and suggest that in the comments, and I could probably just do that for the next video. I don't know. But here in our function, we can just say the player.leaderstats.coins.value plus equal, so we will add on to what it already is, and let's just give the player 500 coins, right? So whenever we receive the enter code from the client, let's go ahead and loop through the codes, and if it matches up with the entered code, do this, right? Do the function and reward the player. So in here, we can say, and we will loop through, so for code, right, which is release as our example, and then the function, so for code function in codes do, and here, if you care about case sensitive, if you want it to be case sensitive, and that's from earlier, then here you just want to say if code is equal to entered code, then, right, if code is equal to entered code, then, but if you don't care about it being case sensitive, then instead of entered code, you want to say string.lower entered code. This just goes through every character inside of entered code and just lowers it, uncapitalizes it. But now, since we receive the code, this just means it actually found a code that the player inserted. Then we can activate the function, so code function, brackets, and then we need to send the player. So if I go ahead and run the game, let's open the code. Yep, that works. If we type in release and click on this, our coins will go up by 500. There we go. So it does work. But we don't want the player to be able to submit it over and over again, right? Now, here, I cut off, a bunch of the video because, I found out, a better way to do it. Originally, the way I did it, exploiters can look at the Explorer because they have access to that, and they can just look at all the codes. So if you have, a code that you don't want most players to see, like a hidden one that they have to find to submit it, you don't want, exploiters being able to find that. So I think we'll just have it be managed inside of the script. So let's just create a new table called redeemed codes is equal to a table. And this is, I think this is all we need, yeah. Now here, redeemed codes, our current redeemed codes, I think it's brackets player, is equal to a table. So whenever a player is added, we're going to put a table in here, which is the player, if that makes sense. Right? Yeah. So instead of creating a new instance, let's just say, and then, yeah, because we can't make a variable out of this. I think this is how we do it. So here, we're going to say, if redeemed codes player code is equal to false, then redeemed codes player code is equal to true, activate the function. Let's try that. Here, we'll type in our code, release, enter, and it surprisingly does work. Yeah, that works first try. There we go. And now exploiters won't be able to access it, because what they can do is they could probably make their own Explorer, just copy everything and paste it in, look in players, look at the redeemed codes. But there you go. This is how you do it. And again, it's very simple to add a new code. All you have to do is in this table, let's add a new code, and we can change this to test is equal to a function player.leaderstats.coins.value plus equal, let's just say a crazy number. So if we go ahead and run the game, open this, type in test, boom, and we can try with release. Or let's check if that works because it's abbreviated. Yes, it works. There you go. If you have any suggestions, such as the data store, you can go ahead and leave it as a comment. And if you want to just chat with the community or show off your creations, or if you have any questions, stuff like that, and you want to join my Discord server, the link will be in the description. Other than that, I hope you have a good day or night, and goodbye.